This assignment tips video is a little bit different than the previous videos. With this assignment tips video, I'm going to walk you through the assignment step by step. Now, when I do this, your design will be different, the layout will be different, and you can go ahead and get creative with your animation. I just wanted to show you step by step because it involves a lot of manipulating or moving things around on the timeline that sometimes can confuse people. At the end of this video, we're going to switch from CS6 to Creative Cloud. Everything should apply except for the action script, where Creative Cloud we have to use ActionScript 3.0. So let's go ahead and get started and see what we have in our project builder at the end of chapter 3. So right now we have an actions layer that's at the top, and it should always be at the top. Then we have, I've already organized this into folders. We have a home page on frame 1 that includes Cruises button, Tours button, Treks button, subheading, and home image. Those are all separate items that will be only on the home page, and they're all on their own layer so that we can animate them individually. Then also on that home page we have the logo, the heading, and our background layer to add some color. Those 3 layers are things that are going to be on every single page, so that's why they're towards the bottom. So the first thing we need to do, and then we have our Treks page, which lives on frame 5 for right now, and that includes the headings, the image, and the home button. So let's go ahead and bring that home button out here because that's actually going to be used on more pages than just the Treks page. So the first thing we need to do is determine how long we want our animation to last. So for right now, I'm going to do 100. And I'm going to go to my background layer and hit F5 because I want it to last until the 100, or that's actually 110, but that's okay. We're going to have it last until the 110th frame. Now, anytime you want something to last, you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to go here and hit F5. But before we do that, we need to make this heading animated, and then the book asks us to animate the logo in, then the subheading, and then animate each of the buttons in one at a time in a staggered animation. So what I'm going to do is animate the heading, but the logo won't come in until that's already done animating. So let's say I want the heading to animate for 30 frames. Then I want my logo to start animating in at frame 31. So I can double click in here and then grab this chunk and drag it so it starts on frame 31. So now we see all these blank frames because there's no content here until frame 31. That gives our heading 30 frames in which to animate. So let's go ahead and check out how to animate this. Now the book asks you to make it animated so that it goes from small to big and it fades in from nothing to 100% opaque. So let's go ahead and see how this works. This needs to be a movie clip first. We'll go up to Modify, Convert to Symbol, Movie Clip, and I name it MC Heading. Now that's a movie clip, so we can go ahead and extend it out how long we want it to last. Again, we want it to last till frame 30, so we click on frame 30 on that layer and hit F5. And now we want to create an animation here. So let's click inside and do Insert, Motion Tween. So we want it to be small and totally transparent at frame 31, and this size and totally opaque by frame 30. So what we'll do is, since we're already on frame 30 and it's already in the exact position we want it to be, we'll hit F6, and that sort of pegs it there. It makes it that exact same size. Now we can come back here and change the size here. So let's go here and make this smaller. And you could use the transform controls on the actual object, but now it goes from small to large, and because we pegged it at the very end of our tween, we said this is how we want it to look, so make sure it stays this way. So let's talk about how to animate it so that it fades in. Let's click on that movie clip again, go into the color effect in the properties panel, and again, this won't show up unless you're working with a movie clip or a graphic symbol. So we can go to alpha and choose 0. So there it's 0% opaque or 100% transparent. So now when we go up to frame 30, it's still transparent, but it shows you the little box if you're clicked on that frame. So you can click on that box for that object and bring it up to 100. Now we've got a heading that fades in. So let's see how we can go ahead and animate this logo. I want it to last until frame 40, so I'll hit F5 and I'll do Insert, Motion Tween. And let's go ahead and move this down a little bit so we can see what we're doing here. And I want to make sure it's placed in that exact same spot. So again, I can hit F6, come back to my first frame of the logo layer, and move it all the way up so that it will animate down to the right spot. Now that looks a little bit weird because we can't see the heading. Well, that's because the heading ended at frame 30. But since we want it to last through our whole project, technically we can come here to the end and hit F5 because we know it's always going to be there throughout the entire time we have our project up. Same thing with the logo. Now that it's animated in, it's good to just hit F5 and it's always going to be there now. Alright, so for the home button, we don't need it on the home page, and that's what we're animating. So right now we're just going to shove it down here. We don't know where it's going to end up, but we'll just shove it down there for now. So let's go ahead and see what's happening with the home page right now. And let's go ahead and shove the Trek stuff down here too. Okay, so the home image, we want it to last. So let's say we think the home image is going to last until the 80th frame. So we need the subheading to come in after the logo. So the logo ends at frame 40. So maybe we want the subheading to come in at 41. And let it animate till frame 50. And then after frame 50, we want Treks to come in. So we'll move that to 51. Then after that one animates in, we want Tours to come in. So I'm just giving kind of a staggered animation stair-stepping thing. Now we just need to come in and animate each of these things. So let's go ahead and I'm going to actually make that a little bit bigger. So let's go ahead and animate this guy. Again, modify, convert to symbol, MC subheading. And right now it's fully opaque and we want it to last. So I'll hit F5, insert motion tween. So at this point, we want it to just fade in. I want it to just fade in. This is the particular animation I chose. So I'm just going to have it fade in. It's not going to move. It's not going to grow. I just want it to go from 0 to 100. All right, so for the Treks button, I'm actually going to move it out from the left side of the stage in. So for this one, again, I can do insert motion tween. And I want it to last until the 60th frame, so I'll hit F5, and actually all of these, I want them to last. So for this one, I can go ahead and say, this is where it should be by this point, so I'll hit F6. Oops, see what happens. So I'll hit F6, go back over here and say, when it starts animating, it should start over here. So again, with this one, I'll do insert motion tween. And by the last frame, hit F6. The first frame of that animation, move it over to the left. Insert motion tween. Come here, the last frame, hit F6. So it keeps it steady. And then here, tell it where to start from. So now we have staggered animation. We have the heading come in, then the logo, then the subheading, and now we have the button, 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 and then unfortunately all of those things need to last. So it looks like our home page is kind of sitting at frame 80. So we can highlight all of these and hit F5 and it's going to make sure they last until frame 80. So there we go. Now we need to work on the Treks page, so we can shift click all these and bring them back to frame 85. And it adds a bunch of stuff, so I'm going to go ahead and right click and remove frames because Treks page doesn't have any animation, so it can live on one frame and be just fine. And then we need to create a cruises page. So let's go ahead and do cruises page. I'm going to go ahead and copy this because it looks exactly the same as this. And pull it into, oops, stop that. Okay. See, now look what just happened. Oh, good Lord. Okay, obviously, that's not working out for me. It should just be something where you drag it down here and it creates a copy. See, I don't know why I did that time. Okay, so this is going to be cruises, headings, and this is going to be Trek's image or cruises image. All right, so the cruises stuff, I actually want that to go to frame 90 because that's going to be on a whole different frame because it's a whole nother page. And obviously I need to change all this stuff, so featured cruises. And I can kind of tweak that however I see fit later. And each one of these, we don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to just type cruise. So just actually put the right information in for that. And then for this particular one, I want to change the picture, so I can right click on this picture and do swap symbol. And I can choose my graphic symbol, that's the cruises picture. And it's going to swap it out for me, so that's pretty easy and handy. And now what we need to do is we need to actually add another layer in cruises, and this is called animated ship. So we want to go ahead and add a ship that automatically moves across the stage. So we want it to start on frame 90, which is where our cruise page starts. So I'll hit F6 and I'll go to my library, and I have this graphic symbol called G ship, and move it on there, and it's actually kind of big, so I'll make that smaller. And I want to animate this, so I can go to Insert Motion Tween, and so it's going to start here, and by frame 110 we can go ahead and end over here, and we want to create an actual curve. So clicking inside of the tween, we'll pull that up, we'll grab the subselection tool, click on the last anchor, oops, and I do that every single time, so we'll lock everything else. Okay, so we'll click in there, click the last anchor, pull that down, and we can pull this up to create a more drastic curve. And then clicking on that again, we can do orient to path, and we just need to set our ship so the first anchor point, it's orienting itself to the path. So we'll click out. Hang on. Okay. So there, that looks good, and now it's going to orient itself to the path. All right. So the last thing we need to do is make sure that the cruises headings and image last. So we'll hit F5. And then we've got our home button that needs to last, so we'll hit F5. Our home page ends here, our Trek's page ends here, and our cruises page ends here. So now we just need to actually make the action script work. So these are stop actions. So we've got our stop, and we've got another stop. So we know we want it to stop at the Trek's page. So we'll drag that down. And we know we want it to stop at the end of the home page. And then we know we want it to stop after the ship is animated in. So we'll hit F6 here, and we'll go to Global Functions Timeline Control, and we'll just type in stop. Okay, so now we have a stop at the end of home, a stop on the Trek's page, and then a stop at the end of the cruises page. So we just need to make sure that the action script for the buttons works. We will cover that in part 2 of the Chapter 4 video.